Hey everyone, this time on Tim Talks Audio, we go over the Quantize menu and the values within and how we can use them to put odd times into our songs. When you're programming your drums or working on your edits for your audio events, you might come across some notes that were played or want to insert some notes when you're songwriting that aren't in straight time, things like quarter notes, eighth notes, or 16th notes. Maybe you want a triplet feel, or what you can do in the Quantize menu is 5 notes in the time span of 4 or 7 notes in the time span of 8. This is what we're going to go over today, and with some examples with some MIDI drums. So we're going to dive into the DAW and take a look at how we can do all of this. So here we are inside of the session, and it is just an example session. This isn't something I'm working on. It's just showing how we're going to do everything. So you can see my programmed drums on the bottom here, and we're using Steven Slate drums for this example. It is just showing us our closed hi-hat sound, our snare, and our kick drum. Our kick drum is doing beats 1 and 3, and our hi-hat is holding our tempo on the quarter notes. So that's what you see here, our quarter note hi-hats and our half note kick drums, just to kind of hold the beat down so we all have a frame of reference. Where the odd times are going to come in is actually on our snare track. First, let's go over our Quantize menu and the options that are in here. Along the top row is just your standard straight quantize amounts: whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note, 16th note, 32nd note, and 64th note. It's all along the top, pretty self-explanatory. Then you move down a row, and this is where you start to get your odd times. So the first 4 examples are quarter note, eighth note, 16th note, and 32nd note. But there's a difference because each one of these has a T under it. The T stands for triplet. What you're going to do with a triplet is add 3 notes in the time it takes 2 notes to happen. So what I mean by that is something like this. If I'm going to clap quarter notes and just say standard eighth notes, you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Triplets go 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. Those are triplets, 3 notes in the space of 2. Moving on from our triplet is eighth note, 16th note, 32nd note of 5 into 4. This is the same kind of thing where we are going to fit 5 notes in the space of 4. And instead of me doing the clapping and just saying it, you'll hear the example in a little bit. We'll keep going on with the Quantize menu. The next row gives us eighth notes, 16th note, and 32nd note, and underneath that is 7 into 8. 7 notes into the placement of 8. Again, you'll hear the audio example. This is why I have just a straight quarter note hi-hat keeping the tempo. And you'll hear where we just increased the number of notes in a given amount of time. Then the last area is where we get the 20% SW, 40% SW, so on and so forth. This is the swing, where you can actually ease those notes back a little. I have a few examples here using 20%, 80%, and 100% swing, and I have an example later where it'll go from straight eighth notes to 100% swing eighth notes, and you'll feel how it has this gallop or kind of giddy up. So this is how we can change how we enter in our MIDI notes. I have my example, but I'll just scroll off to the end here and add some more in so that you can see it happen. In bar 10, if I just want my quarter note hi-hats to hold our tempo, I'm just going to duplicate them over, and I hit D on the keyboard to do that. I'm not really going to worry about my kick drums right now. I just want to show you how we can enter in different times for the snare drum. So if we want to enter in maybe 16th note, 7/8, this is 7 notes in the time of an eighth note. I can change my quantize amount. I'll zoom way in, and you can see the grid is way off. Here's our second beat, and we have 3 grid lines in between beats 1 and 2. When we start adding in notes, and on Mac I'm holding down Command, and on PC you can hold down Control, I can click and drag out, and it will enter in a snare hit on the 7 notes within the 8 to fill us up halfway through this measure. It sounds confusing, but when you hear it, you'll understand what's going on. To really hear it, I am going to speed it up to 30-second notes. Now on bar 10, beat 1, and then into beat 2, there are 7 grid lines, and I can easily just drag these in. This is 7 hits in the time of 1 beat. If we play from beat 10 real quick, you can hear it's very fast, but it's not like 16th notes where it's perfectly on. It's 7 in that same amount of time. If you want to be able to go in and enter straight time for any of these instruments, make sure to change your quantize to whatever you want it to be. Let's say you just need quarter notes for a hi-hat, change your quantize to quarter notes, and you can enter them in. Anything else you enter in after you change your quantize amount will have that same quantize value entered in with it. Okay, so let's get into our audio examples. As a reminder, at the top of the screen, you'll see what time base we are in for that measure. It's going to change a lot, and it's going to change relatively fast, so feel free to rewind and rewatch so you can hear the notes that are happening in that amount of time. What I'm going to do is just create a loop real quick, and we'll let this play through twice. In the beginning, it's just quarter notes so that we all understand what the tempo is. The second measure is eighth notes on our snare, and then starting at measure 3, we go into triplets, then we go to 5/4, and then 7/8, and you'll hear how everything sounds. Let's take a listen. Okay, as one more quick example, I've created just a very simple basic drum pattern, and it's 2 bars of just a straight beat. Then the last bar for the first go through is just 16th notes on a ramp up, almost as if you're building up to the next section of the song. Then it goes back into the same original pattern, but the last ramp up part is with 16th note triplets, so that you can hear how it sounds different and the feel is different. Let's take a listen. So they have very different timings and they have very different feels. There's more notes in the triplets at the end, so it almost is like rushing us into that next section. There's lots of different uses for odd times or getting more notes into a small amount of time in your session. Also, we did the swing as well. Maybe you want to lay things back a little or kind of gallop into things. This is how you can adjust your times and some examples of how they sound. That's all for now. If you found anything informative, please like and share the video. For more, visit timflansbaum.com, and if you have a question, ask it in the comments and I'll answer it in a future video. Thanks for watching.